you can play it again. And since you asked, I meant to talk about it later. What I'm going to show, Excel is not a concept, it's really a lot of details, a cookbook, how to. And I cannot expect you to remember everything that I'm going to show. I'll try to go slowly, but still. So I think it'll be very useful for you to listen to the recording that will be posted. And then you can stop it and then do it yourself on Excel with your own 10 fingers. I found that the most useful way to learn. I spent this week 2 days, 8 hours a day on photography workshop. And that's exactly what I'm doing after that. Stop, because it is impossible to absorb everything and remember everything. Even when I was 20, I couldn't do it, certainly not today. So that I suggest what you'll do. Also, and I don't know, I guess we'll post it soon, right, Barry?
Yes.
Yes.
Irene still has a question, Barry. I'm sorry.
Irene, if you could just unmute yourself, and then you can ask the question, Irene. I guess she didn't.
Okay, this is Neely. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, my question, I need to, one of them I wrote to you. It was about setting up a family tree in Excel, but I know we cannot cover it now. The other one is sometimes when I'm using the formula on Excel, I get an answer value, that something is wrong with the value. Then I do it manually and I get the right answer, but I don't know why I get that value.
We'll cover some formula today, but very basic one. More will be in the next session.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Irene is the only one left, Barry.
Right. Irene?
Let me see if I can find Irene again. Hold on a second.
Irene, can you unmute yourself?
I asked her to unmute herself. There you go, Irene, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask the same thing that Neely asked. I wanted to know where formulas fit into all of this. I have some experience with Excel, but I'm thrilled that Shlomo will be going through the mini steps, then build on it for the other 2 sessions.
I think that we'll go to the curriculum for the 3 sessions in a minute,
Okay.
but most of it will be the next one.
Okay, thank you.
So this is being recorded, and Shlomo, I'm going to put everyone back on mute again. Again, if you have a question, just chat to either Iris or myself, and at the appropriate time, we will bring up those subjects. And make sure you, I put Shlomo as you should all be in the speaker view, so Shlomo should be a large part of the screen. And with that, go to it, sir.
Some history. Some of you may remember the genesis of those spreadsheets. It started with personal computers. The first one I got to know was the VisiCalc, if you remember this name. It was developed by Apple in the late 70s, and it was revolutionary. It's interesting that Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak set up to sell computers, boxes, hardware, and then they realized that 90% of the people that bought the Apple in the beginning, that's according to Wozniak, bought it because of the VisiCalc, because they realized that it's really a great replacement to the adding machine. Then came Lotus 123. That may be another name that rings a bell. It's certainly those of us that live in a Boston area. Lotus was a very large employer, extremely successful for a while, but then was replaced by Microsoft that came with Multiplan, and then Excel in 1985. So they had 3-4 years of glory, and then disappeared and don't exist anymore. IBM bought them. I worked for another company that was in the glories for many years, named Wang Laboratories. We invented word processor in the mid 70s. We were used to be the only game in town until we were not the only game in town. And then we don't exist anymore, or they don't exist anymore. The reason I mention it, because word processing is part of Microsoft called Microsoft Office. And Microsoft Office has multiple pieces, one of them Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Visio, Outlook, which is a email management system. And they have also a database called Access. You can buy it, you cannot buy anymore Excel or Word separately. You buy the small piece, which is Excel, Microsoft, and Word, and then you expand it to Outlook and Visio and Access. Visio, that's the answer nearly to your question, probably is the best tool to build a family tree, but it's not for the faint of heart. It's a very complex thing. But you can do it in Excel as well, and that will be covered, I think, next session. I personally, when I was a student back in Israel in 1970, I got somebody offered me to take a course in programming, and I did it because they paid my tuition, the government. And so I got into computers pretty early and stayed there until I retired a couple of years ago. So the evolution of all those tools was important to what I did for a living. So I pay attention to those things because I had to, and the Excel was a major change in the way companies ran, Word is of course as well, because it changes the way accounting is being managed. It became really the kind of the adding machine of the 90s, certainly from 90s on. Let me show you a sample of what Excel can be used for. And then I am starting with some example, and then I'll go and start entering data field by field. So if we go, before that, I'll let you go to the curriculum. Can you see it?
Nope.
Can you?
No, we see Zoom, Shlomo. So
No,
stop.
I can see it.
I can see it.
Oh,
I'm sorry for the typo, the F in the beginning.
I can see it.
What we're going to do today is create a basic worksheet from scratch, insert some formulas, being able to move data, cut and paste, insert, delete, do the appearance, highlight, bold, coloring, and then prepare it for printing, and there are several options for printing. And in the next session, we'll do additional Excel built-in function. Those are the formulas primarily. And then go into charts, all kind of charts, and then import and output, how to move it to Word or PowerPoint, and then go to some basic, how to use lists, how to sort, how to print, perhaps we'll go into even how to create a list, name list for mailing. And the advanced will be really a three-dimension aspect, which is pivot tables, more advanced formulas, searches, and the likes. But basically, go over, and at that point, you probably will accumulate enough question in the intermediary that will dictate what people want to know in a more advanced level. Any questions? Okay, so here's an example of a family budget.
Shlomo, I think you have to stop sharing and then go to the new screen.
Thank you. Can you see it now?
Yes.
So you have income and expense. You see, the numbers are made up. and you have the budget, the actual, and the difference between the two. You see some of the categories that what you want to budget and plan by. And you see in the bottom is total expenses. And you look here, the way you budget it, you are short $475. In other words, your expenses are higher than your income. So what is so nice in Excel is say, well, if it's a real situation and you really want to come at least balance, you go and you say, for example, if you see here, you see my mouse, my pointer here on travel in the bottom.
No.
How about if I make it yellow?
Now we see it.
You see it?
Gotcha.
Right here?
Yep.
So I say, well, in touring, maybe I will spend it at least $2,000. I'll spend $1,000. And voila, everything is fixing himself. You see here on the bottom? You see here, the new yellow thing, it changes it right away. So it's basically, the way I look at it, you can think while you work on Excel, and it's really assisting you to think, let's say, what if, what can we improve, what can be changed? If I change that, what will affect on other things? So that's a spreadsheet, and that's a really realistic use. Companies are using it to create budget and much bigger numbers and much more complex. And then they balance it on Excel before they're entering it into more sophisticated system that manage it from that point on. Another example is a very different example is this one. You don't see everything, but that's okay. Some of you may know, until recently, I scheduled the men's tennis games, and that I use it. Here's the name of the people right here.
We don't see it yet. Got to stop sharing and then share again.
I did. You see it now?
It's coming up. There we are.
So here's the name of the people here on the left, sorted by first name. And the Y said that's the days they want to play, right? And I created from that the schedule. That's pretty complex stuff that we're not going to cover today, but that's a very different use of Excel that probably saved me, compared to doing it manually, several hours a month, many hours a month. So go back to the, no, sorry, not, I didn't mean that. And if you look here, it simplified the subset of the other spreadsheet, and that's the one we are I'm going to enter from scratch. You see, it's nicely formatted. You have the income subcategory. Some of them do have subcategories, some do not. The same with the expenses. And that is a small spreadsheet that I'm going to now start from the beginning, the way you're going to do it if you don't have, if you start entering data. Okay, questions? Barry, any questions?
I do have
Go ahead, Peg.
one. So the question I have is, are you going to start with filling out the whole thing as if you've never looked at one, like how to put category, subcategory, budget?
Yeah.
The frame.
I'm going to enter it from scratch.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Okay, I have a question, Neely. I see on top here on the menu, you have different colors. Like, I think accent 6, 5, 4, 3. What are those?
Where, here?
On the, here, further up, go up. Yeah,
Here?
no. Here, no. You know where you have,
Those here?
no. מתחת לזה, yeah, here on this line, go across to the left.
Yeah.
No. Okay. You know where you have the fund, the number of the fund?
Yeah.
Keep going across all the way toward the right.
I'm
Keep
going.
going. And keep going. Now you're here. What are those colors?
That's formatting that we probably will not go in today, but
Okay.
let's see how to format it in.
Because I format it to comma, currency, percent, and stuff like that, but I never get those colors.
We'll show that. I'll show
Okay.
that soon.
Thanks.
Not in here, but on the things here.
Okay.
So the way you go and the way I open Excel, you have
By the way, I
Excel.
want to thank everyone for unmuting themselves, asking the question, and then muting themselves after they've answered the question or asked the question. Thank you very much.
So if I I don't know how to do it. Okay, so here's a blank spreadsheet. For technical problem, I cannot. For someone, I can figure out how to start from very scratch to call Excel. But you basically, like any other program, you double click on it, and you say, "I want a new spreadsheet." And maybe I'll figure out how to do it during the presentation. I'll show you. But basically, that's what you get when you say a new Excel. So let me talk about the format of the page. And some of it is very similar to other Microsoft, if you are familiar, application, like Word and PowerPoint. So it basically is a bunch of cells. Every one of those is a cell. And then there are rows, okay, goes across, and columns. The columns have letters, A, B, C, D, E, and it goes to Z, and then it goes to AA, AB, AC, and goes on and on. I think about 14,000 rows and 14,000 columns, more than you'll ever need. The rows has numbers. So if you see, for example, I put here, this cell is B8. You see that?
Like bingo?
Right here, and basically in the top left corner, it tells you what cell you are on. Right here, B8, and it starts here. Here you are in A1, which is the top left corner of the spreadsheet. Now, there are here the tabs across. The first one is home, which is the one you use. That's a bread and butter. That's what you use to enter information, to manipulate information. The other one are things to help you do things more with things, to improve the format, to sort, to review. We're not going to get into today. We're going to get into it later in another presentation, because this gives you everything you need for all the way to intermediate level. For one of you, I thought that was nearly asked, on the very top here is really not Excel, it's Office, ability to create shortcuts. So for example, if you see here, in the top right is spelling. Other one is sigma, the Greek sigma, which we'll cover today, which is sum. And this is sort, and so on. And you can create, I'm not going to get today, it's really a Microsoft Office thing, and perhaps we'll do it next time if you have time, but it's an easy shortcut. Everything you can do here, you can do someplace else on the Excel itself, just a shortcut. So here are the cells, and I'm going to start entering the spreadsheet, this one here. Okay? I'm going to start entering, and then I am not a fast typist, so I have to hang on with me. Category. Okay, just type it in. You hit enter, it goes down. There's a way you'll learn later that if you hit enter, it goes across, but the way it's set up, it's going down. Under that is income. After that, dividends. Capital gains. Other income. Retirement. And there are subcategories to retirement, and that will be the next columns. You see, I just clicked on, I moved with the mouse, I clicked on the top of B. Now I'm in the second column. Okay? So I'm a subcategory, just make it short sub. And underneath that, I have subcategory only for retirement, and I call it source A, source B, okay? Second column. I'm going to go to expenses later, or I may be cheating a bit, but you see what I'm entering now. The next column is called budget. Okay, and the budget for dividends is 3,000. A couple gain 25,000. Other income 1,800. And retirement, it's really source A is 5,000. 5,000 and 4,000. Okay, and I'll enter one more column, and then we'll start adding numbers and go to some of the formulas. Next one is actual, which is you enter it every month or every quarter, what actually happened. And since that's not the first month of the year, the numbers should be below what you have here, what the budget is. 2,000, and I'm sorry, 5,000. 650. And now the source A is 3,300, 3,000, and 1,500. Okay, so I entered basically this information here. I'm back to the original, this stuff here, without the totals. I didn't enter the difference. I will calculate the difference. Okay, so here I am back here, and the first thing, if you compare it to that, this data looks pretty ugly. It's not formatted, and it's not just the aesthetic of it, it's very difficult to follow it. So let me just here now the column difference, I forgot to put that. Save the entire column. So first you can change the width of the columns. And you do it, you put the cursor right on top between the columns. You see here where I am? And you move it right and left and change the subject and change the length. You can change the columns here by moving it. You can do it differently. You can highlight, which means you click one, and without leaving the left side of the mouth, the left side, you drag it, now highlighted 3 columns, right? Can you see that? Now I right click and go to, you see here column width? It's small, I know, but it's the right click and it's a drop down menu.
Apple doesn't have right and left click.
I know, and but I apologize. I should have answered for that. I never use an Apple. Let me show that, and I'll give you an answer to that. You know, I'll come with an email and send you an email, say how Apple do it, because you can Google it and tell you. But you can say, I want the column to be 18. Now, the advantage of that, all will be exactly the same width, as opposed to move it by hand and by eye, looking and see how wide the columns are. Now, that's the one thing I did. Second thing is the format. Since all those are numbers, you want to, it's a dollars, you want decimal point because often you use it, and also it looks like dollars. So again, you highlight all those cells.
I know the answer, Shlomo. How to do right click on a Macintosh. What you do is you hold down the control key on your keypad while you click. So I'll show you how to do that, Peggy. But
it's command click then.
No control.
Command. There's no control on that. Right.
It's command. It's command click on Apple. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Barry. So I highlighted those. Okay. And then you go, you see on the top, right here, you see where my mouth is? You see where my mouth is? There is a dollar sign, you see? It's a drop down, so I can put euros or Chinese currency too. But if you do the dollar sign, look what happened. All became with a dollar sign. If you don't want the dollar sign, there's another one here that is a comma, which means it's a comma of the thousands. So you do just that, and the dollar sign disappeared, but the format is exactly the same. A comma between the thousands, decimal point, and two digit after the decimal point. Okay, won't go to the rest of it. So now we have it looking a little better. We'll go to formatting a little bit in a minute, but here you go here, and now you want the difference. The difference is the budget minus the actual. So you put this budget here, you key in equal, equal, and you can say B3 minus C3. You see why? I'm sorry, let me take it back. It's this cycle, this cell, right? It's C3. You see, it's C3, and this one is D3. See that? So if you say here equal C3 minus D3, 1,000. And 3,000 minus 2,000 is indeed 1,000. So it calculates correctly. Now, there is an easier way to do it. And that you say equal, and then you click on the first one, on the budget, you see? Type in minus, and click on the other one, and hit enter. I never enter C3, C4, C5. It's too complex. That is very visual. Those are the two numbers I want to calculate. And you can do it with 5 numbers. You just have to type the plus, minus, divide, whatever the sign, which we'll get in a minute, between the clicks. So now, here I can do the same. Equal that minus that. Okay, that's one way to do it. The lazy way to do it is just take this one and copy it. You can copy, there is a copy here on the thing, but I'm sure you all know, copy is Control or Command C. And you put the cursor here and Command V, and voila, the formula was copied, not the number. If you copy a cell that has a formula, it copies a formula. If you copy a cell that has a number, it will copy the number. Now, there is a much easier way to do it even than that, and that is you take that, you see you have if you put your cursor in the bottom corner of the cell, it becomes a plus. You see it? You see here? You see my, and you drag it down, it copied 3 times. And it copied 100 times. As long as I keep my finger on the left key and drag it down. I can take that, I can drag it down to the rest of the stuff. It covers everything. Okay? And here, in the field here, you see nothing because there are no numbers across, so it just puts 0. A dash is 0. Delete that. So now we have the difference. Questions so far? Any questions, Gary?
Nope.
Now we want to add the retirement. I have a subcategories. And I want to know the sum of the total retirement. Okay? So I copied that from Quicken, the structure, so they put the total in the top, so I didn't change it. But basically, the retirement is the sum of those 3 numbers below. So you can say it's equal this, the first one, plus the second, plus the third, right? And it's 9,500. But now we get to the first formula, the most basic formula, which is sum. I delete that. You put the field here, you highlight the 3 number. No, you put the field here, the cursor where you want the sum to be. And you go, you see where mouth is on the ruler on the right side, almost to the end. You see the Greek letter sigma. You see that here? Anybody doesn't see it? The sigma. You click the sigma. Now, Excel wants to add up. It's smart because it should. But in order to change it, you just highlight what you want to add. So highlight the 3 bottom one, hit enter. And now you have 9,500. You see that here? Is the sum of those 3 numbers. Let me make it, I'll do it on the bottom sum next column. So maybe it will be easier to follow. So if I want to put the sum here of those 3 numbers above, those 3 numbers, I put the cursor here. I go to the sigma sign, the letter sigma. Now it highlights exactly what he thinks I want to add, which is true. I hit enter and here's a 2,100. 21,300. You see it here? Now I'll do it the same way because otherwise we'll screw up the rest of my presentation. So I'll do it quickly on the top. So now we have the sum. Now we have here a column on the original one, say total income. Okay. Now, one of the things I can do is what we just learned, right? Put the sigma here and add. What do you think about that? It's wrong because I counted the retirement thing twice because I have the total here and all the element here. So basically I duplicate the 9,500. I counted one is the sum and one is the rest of the thing. So you have to be careful of that if you have breakdown. So the right way to do it is equal this plus this plus this plus this, one way to do it, or to do the sum again, and that's probably the smarter way to do it. And when you see the highlight, you say, no, I don't want all that. I just want all the way to here. And now you have the right number. Now, you can do that again and again, or you do what I did before. Remember, you drag it. You drag it across. And that's it. Questions? No question, Barry?
No questions. Everybody seems to be okay.
Now, the other thing I didn't do here is a copy. The toll here. I didn't.
Who had a question?
Linda.
Go ahead.
Where's that signature sign? I can't find it on the.
Sigma. It's a letter sigma.
Where is that located?
Linda?
Yeah.
It's underneath where everybody's pictures are. So if you are looking at everyone's picture, you can't find it. Just put the single picture and you will see the sigma is all the way over toward the right. On the
Everyone is different, Peg.
Right.
Shlomo, do you want to just move your mouse to where this sigma is? It's in a couple of places. Auto sum is to the left as well. Up at the top, it's in two places.
I copied it here. That's a good idea. You see this letter? You won't have it in yours because I
gotcha.
have to create it.
Yeah.
But that's how it looks. The letter sigma.
Right.
It goes. Can you follow my finger?
Yes.
Do you see
You
it
know
now,
what?
Linda?
I see it. Thank you.
Good.
But that's important because this is the most used click on the entire top over there. It's only, you have other things you can do. We'll not get to it right now, it's confusing, but if you just click on that, it adds. So I didn't do here the sum, so I'll complete it, copy it over. Now I realize, not really, I did it purposely, that I forgot one row, to enter one row in income. If you look here, note that you have to remember, there was interest income. You see here? That I didn't enter. So, so what you do, and you see the other income, it should be above other income. You see, I highlight the row by clicking on the number 5. It's row number 5. You click on the number or on the letter on the top, you highlight the row or the column. So I click that and I right click, command click, and you put in insert. You see the drop down menu, there is insert. Everybody sees the insert? You click insert, voila. Is a empty line. Then I can put here interest income. And the interest income is 580. Now I would like you to look at the number here, the 39. What happened when I click enter? You see the 39 here? The sum? It went up. The advantage of putting the sum, like we did here, it remembers the top and the bottom number. If you insert in the middle a number, it will include it automatically. So if, for example, I say add all the rows from 4 to 9, 5 rows, and you insert the one in the middle, so 9 becomes 10 now, it will have anything from 4 to 10. It's good and bad. You have to remember that, because usually if you enter it in the range, you want it to be included. So I put the 580 here, and the actual is 400. And now I copy down the formula here, right? Now we all set. So that's the insert. That insert a row. The same way, if I want to insert a column, for example, if I want to insert a column here, I highlight D, I say insert to the left. Okay, and I'll undo it. There is another insert, we'll get a bit later, that is inserting just a few. For example, if I want to insert a line only here, or let's be more realistic. Let's say I want to have more space here between the numbers and the total. So you just highlight the 3. Now you right click and say insert. And he will ask you, you see the question? How do you want to insert? You want to shift the cells down or you want to shift them right? And you say down, so it insert right and everything moves down. Now I delete it because it screws up my space. And yeah, I won't delete it, say, how do you want to delete? It say up because I want to get up. So that's insert. Instead, you can insert a row or in a column, and that's you have to highlight the entire row or column. Or you can insert in any range inside the spreadsheet, but then you have to tell them you want to push it, what direction you want to push the rest of the stuff when you insert. Okay? So we enter that. In order not to take time of my slow typing, I put here, I copied all the numbers unformatted. So I'll do the formatting once more so you'll see how to do it. I want to format all those numbers first to become $signs. So I highlight them and click the dollar right here. I put the yellow to remind me that I have to add the numbers. That's only the purpose of the yellow. And while I'm at that, I'll show you how to paint a line. I'll do it for a minute, never mind that. And so you want to paint it yellow. So for example, to highlight, you highlight the line and then you see here the paint symbol. You see it here? It's above column C on mine. Under the font. See the font number? Underneath that, you bring it down and you have all slew of colors. Just like any other Microsoft product. If you want more colors, you go more colors, and then you have this thing here that you can create makeup colors as your heart desires. But if you go here and just take you do here and click on the yellow, it becomes yellow. And I find it very good to highlight. It doesn't have to be yellow, it can be green and all the thing, and we'll use light blue soon. So let me undo the colors. Because you have here no fill. And I put here the sum again. I go to the sum, hit enter, pulls the numbers across, copies the formula to the other two columns. That number is, do here, and I highlight the first 4 numbers all the way to retirement, not to include the subcategories, to not to call it twice. Enter that. Now pull that across. Now we have the income. So again, we travel, the total here is the sum of the subcategories of sum. Subcategory, you have to change it to go underneath. Okay, then I drag the total for travel to the other 2 columns. Total expense is again I have to exclude those three, right? Because they're already included in the total here. And so again, the same thing, sum, and make sure it doesn't include travel twice. Or they didn't like something? That's called circular. And let me do it again. What does he want? I don't know what, and I'm not going to say thing. So
Sometimes when you make a formula, you copied an extra field, and it's
no,
trying to copy a copy. Well, it doesn't matter.
there is a long way from.
Can you just undo? It's Louise. Because if you look at your formula for the first boxes 14 through 19, that is not the correct sum.
No, 14 to 20 I'm doing.
Okay, 20, it's not the correct sum.
I know what the problem here. No, the problem is different.
But can you undo? Will that pull you back to where it was correct?
That's all right, I'm all set.
The answer is yes, you can back.
Right.
Of course I can.
Of course,
But
yes.
I did a mistake. I made a mistake earlier. Now my computer is stuck.
You just froze, I think, Shlomo. Well, I'll dance for a few moments while Shlomo reboots his computer. And this is a good time to take a break for everyone. So shall we call a 2-minute bio break? And if anyone does break, let me know when you're back. But I think Shlomo's been doing a great job of getting the spreadsheet. First, he showed an example of what a spreadsheet filled out would look like. And then he showed us how to get back there again. So this is the wonderful part about technology. Let's see. So I think Shlomo left, and he will be coming back in a few moments. So I'm going to turn my video on because you don't see me. Yeah, right. I'll start my video. So now you can see me. Yes, dear.
Am I dear?
Yes, or Louise.
Okay.
You're a reindeer. Da-da-da.
Yeah, okay. How does this convert to Apple? Or
doesn't, well, you can actually.
What about Google?
I don't know if it does. And that's been one of the things that we'd have to go ask Google if you can take an Excel document and convert it, and does it remember all the formulas, etc. I don't know the answer.
Because
but
I do not have Microsoft Excel anymore. I used to use it.
Yes.
But I'm having a difficult time figuring out how to use the worksheets on Google.
Yeah.
Excuse me a minute. On the Apple, it has something similar to Excel. I forgot. I'm not on my computer.
It's
I'm
called
in the room
Numbers.
on my granddaughter's.
Yes, Maureen, there is, and that's what Louise was talking about. Go ahead. What were you saying about it, Maureen?
There is something very similar to Excel, but I forgot the name of it.
Numbers.
What is it called?
Numbers.
Numbers. It's pretty much like Excel,
but not.
I don't have
That's the problem, is where the formulas are and how it works is a little bit different. So, and certainly for copyright issues. So it's one intellectual property versus another intellectual property.
Shlomo is back?
Yeah, Shlomo is back. And
Barry,
I think, yes.
Barry, you can buy Microsoft Suite for an Apple computer.
Absolutely.
And so I just have never been able to use Pages and Numbers, and I just don't care for it. I like my Apple computer, but I don't like the programs. So, and when you buy the suite, you can put it on more than one computer. So for example, if you have—
Depending on how you buy it, there's a single for one computer,
right,
or for multiple computers, or by year.
Right. So if you have more than one computer in your home and you want to use the same contract, you can. It's a little finicky. I find that sometimes it slows the computer down, but I really can't deal with Pages and Numbers. So,
and it's not a good standard. I mean, it is very confusing. A lot of people that I know that have tried to use it find that when they try to, Shlomo, by the way, I'm going to make you the, I'm going to pin you again. So when people try and use it, what often happens, and they try to convert it, or they hand it off in an email to somebody else, it doesn't seem to work properly. I will tell you that for those of you that are interested in buying it, eBay has, I've noticed a couple of places where you can buy on eBay a Office for Mac, and sometimes at a reduced price. Just make sure you're buying from a reliable vendor.
You know, they put it on my computer for nothing when they bought it.
I'm sure you paid for it because it's about $125.
This was a couple of years ago. They put it's on my computer. I never paid for it.
Okay.
It looked like Paul might have had a question.
Go ahead. Who has a question?
Paul?
I have a question. Oops. This is, whoops. Go ahead, Paul, go.
Barry, I have something to say here.
Yes, Dan, go ahead.
There are clones of Office. I use a clone called WPS Office, which has the same type of spreadsheet and document development. It looks a little different, but it does all the same features, and it's available online. It's free. It's called WPS Office. So if you don't want to spend the money on Microsoft Office, you could get the same capabilities.
But you have to make sure that it's compatible, because otherwise you can do whatever you want. If you send somebody your spreadsheet or Word document, he cannot read it.
As long as you save it as an XLS or XLX document, it's really
Okay, I'm not familiar with that. There's another one, Google. Google has a suite that does all those things.
Shlomo, somebody's on twice. Somebody has
twice?
I think you have your microphone on. Somebody, the voice is coming up. Let me go see what the problem is. Somebody has a volume problem. Shlomo?
I'm here.
It seems to be coming from you. You don't happen to have a speaker on and two monitors with sound, do you?
No.
You're the only one that's, we only hear it when you talk.
No, I just heard it when you were speaking.
Barry, I
No.
only hear it when you talk. Or when I talked.
Yes, but I think it's from Shlomo's machine.
I don't think so.
Barry, try muting everyone and then just let Shlomo talk.
Okay, Shlomo, I'm gonna mute everyone except for you, but okay, I'm gonna mute all with the exception of Shlomo. Let me find Shlomo.
I just unmuted myself.
Ah, okay, so now you're fine. I'm gonna now talk for a moment. I'm gonna mute. So I'm fine. So I don't know what the person, so you're unmuted. So I guess we're good to go. There was another question. Everybody can hear me and everybody can hear Shlomo. There was a question Joan asked, what is the best way to send an Excel spreadsheet? She wanted what's the best way to send an Excel spreadsheet? She asked, is it to send it as an Excel spreadsheet or as a PDF, is her question.
Well, depends what the purpose of it. PDF gives you two things. Number one, the format is guaranteed. If you send Excel to somebody with an old version, there'll be a problem with the format. The second thing is nobody can change it, which is the advantage of sending Excel, because then everybody can change it. So if you want to share or cooperate with somebody, you have to send it as an Excel. I believe that everything that, for example, we post on our website should be PDF, because any device you're going to read it on, it will look exactly the same, guaranteed. If you put Excel and somebody reads it on a phone, it may look pretty horrible. Excel, it's going to be, maybe the screen is small and you have to scroll back and forth, but the format is guaranteed. So I recommend to send PDF unless the other person need to use a function of Excel. For example, you send somebody who want to cooperate the budget and somebody, or a list of people, and somebody has to add people to the list. In this case, it has to be Excel, otherwise you cannot add names. But the question, if you want to collaborate with somebody, it has to be Excel or Word, otherwise convert it to PDF. Same PowerPoint, the same.
Another question, how do you widen a group of cells?
Okay, I just did, I apologize, my computer just died and I don't
but I know you showed it before, but she missed it.
So here we go. If you want a group of cells, you highlight the group of 3 columns. Okay, you see that? You see that?
Yep.
And then you put, in any one of them, you put the cursor in the corner and it becomes a plus. You click and you pull. And all 3 of them will be widened exactly the same way.
That's cool. That's cool.
Now, if you want to do only one, you highlight one and you do the same for one. Okay? So I solved my problem. It's called circular formula. Won't get into it because it's not important, and I'm sure you are not going to make this mistake. But we'll get it later in one of the other sessions. But I fixed it, so now it's all set. The yellow is still there. I'll take the yellow away by going highlight and go to the paint brush and say no fill. Now we want to make it formatting a bit nicer. So first of all, one of the things I like is you have subtotals or totals you highlight. Either put a line above that, put it in bold, whatever, so you don't make the mistake I just made that you include the total and its elements in the same formula. So for example, here is that a total, right? So we can highlight. We can highlight by by saying, you see up front there is a B under the font name. So is a B for bold, next to is I for italic, and U for underscore. So if I push the B, it becomes bold. If you want to bold the entire line, you highlight the entire line and push bold, and now the entire line is underlined. If you want a shortcut for that, for those of us that like shortcuts, is Control or Command B for bold, Command and Control or Command U for underline, and Control and or Command I for italic. Okay, so highlighted that. We highlight this is a toll. I'm going to highlight that. See, highlight and B. This is a toll here. Highlight and B. And toll expense is a highlight. If you want to be lazy, you can highlight everything you want to bold at once. So you highlight the first one, then push the Control and highlight the second line here that also is toll, and then push a Control and then bold the two together. Okay. So now we have the toll highlighted. Now the heading, I like, and you saw it here. It's nice and neat in a frame or border. So you highlight the entire line, and you go here. You see it's a B-I-U, and next to it there is a box. See that here? And you have a drop-down menu, and those are all the borders. Not all. We'll show later. I'll show you how to find even more. But one of them is thick line, thick outside border. Click that, and now you have a border. You see? Let me insert a line here in front so you see it better. Okay. Now you want the income also to be highlighted because that's a heading. And you want expenses to be bolded. And the total expense you want to stand out, and that's a question of taste. Now, if you remember here, it's a surplus or shortfall. The shortfall is in red because I'll show you later, you can format the minus is always red. So in order to make it clearer, what you can do here is if there's a shortfall, you highlight it, but you do here on the top. You see the top here. Everything that you highlight in a screen, you see I highlight the cell A27. You see it here? Okay. Everything you see is in a box here that shows you what's there. You see, it says exactly what you see on the bottom. Here, you can edit the script. So if I highlight the shortfall, okay, and then you see next to the paint box, there is a character letter with a color underneath that. You see that right here? You have a drop-down menu, same as a paint brush, any color you want. So if you want the red one, you put red, and now shortfall in the bottom becomes red. So now it's clear that if it's shortfall, it's a red. If it's a surplus, it's a plus. It's a black. So now we went through how to highlight, how to paint a cell as a background, and how to have different colors to the characters themselves, numbers or letters, anything, and any data can be, the font can be given a color. Okay. So, so we have that. Now we can say here, I like it, that's my taste, to the heading to have some color in it. So you stand out, so you put a light color, like blue. See, I highlighted the entire area, went to the color, the paintbrush, and click the color. Okay. Now I can do now, to make it easy to read, I can put borders here so it's easy to follow the lines. So again, remember that top, there is a border box, drop down and there is all borders. You see that? It's thin line, but it goes across, not just around the parameter, but everything. You click on that, you see the lines now here. You can do the same on the bottom. You highlight everything you want to do it, and you click. The last selection you have is already there. So you don't have to go to the drop-down menu. You just click on that, voila. You want the salesperson plus be bigger to stand out. You can change the font. You see right here. Oh, you see right next to the font, there's a big A and a small a. A big A, if you click on it, makes it a bigger. Small a, if you click on it, makes it smaller. So you go, you see, just become bigger. I can do the same for the top of the category. I want it to be bigger. I go A, keep clicking on that. And now, what you can do is also change the font. You can go over that and go to the font and change it to 24. Change it back to, I don't know, 14 and make it bold. And we have, now the other thing is that the headlines you want to see in the middle of the cell, right? Nicer. You highlight one cell, or you can highlight all the cells because you want all of them to center. And now you go, you see what my cursor is now? Right to the right where I was before, the font, just to the right of it. And you can align horizontally and vertically. Vertically means in the cell, on the top of the cell, the bottom of the cell, or the middle of the cell. Or vertically, horizontally in the middle of the column. See? If I do on the left, it'll go to the left. If I go to the other side, it'll go to the right. If I go in the middle, go to the middle. Here I can go, it's in the, now vertically it doesn't affect because the character fills the entire line, so it cannot move up and down.
Shlomo?
Yeah?
On the surplus shortfall line, where the numbers are in brackets, I'm assuming those are shortfalls.
Yeah, I didn't define it right. Very good. Then let me show you how you define it. Good point. How come it was here and I didn't copy the formula? I didn't copy the
right, because I would think that according to your plan, it would show up in red.
Because in another spreadsheet, I defined the cell here. I did not. I'll show you how to do it, Irene. You right click and you have here format cells. You see here?
Yes.
You click on that. Now it gives you a slew of things you can do with that. One of them is accounting. No, sorry. It's not accounting, it's currency. Format cell. You change here on the right, you see it can be a general, number, currency, accounting, day, time, can be all those formats of the field, right? So if you do currency, you see the choice over there below?
Yes.
So if you can do parentheses and red or just red. So let's say I do it parentheses and red and say, okay.
Right.
You got it in red.
Right, and the same thing would be true in the actual column, correct?
Correct, but now I can do two things and teach one more thing that it's true in all Microsoft Office. You click on that, and in the top here, you see on the top left, almost the most left, the column is a cut, paste, underneath that it's called Format Painter. You see that?
Yes.
With a brush. Okay, you see that right here?
Yes.
You click on that, and then you click on the other thing you want to move the format to, and here it goes. It's true with any format, bold, anything you format the field. If it can be characters or it can be numbers. It
Okay.
becomes.
Thank you. That answers my question.
There are two other questions, Shlomo, after you're finished.
And I answer, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Irene. The next question is, refresh my memory on how to make cell columns and text larger for easier visibility is the first question.
Okay. The first one, here, let's say those are small, right? Those numbers are small. The one I highlighted, correct? For example, right?
Yep.
I can do two ways. I can go down to the font number after I highlight and change it. It's 11 now, and make it 14. And make it 16 or make it 12. Let's make it 14. Click on that. That's one way to do it. Now you have more control. Or let's do on this bottom side. I go right to the right of the numbers. There is a large A, capital A, and a small capital A. You click on the large one. It becomes 12. You see the number change. Now it becomes 14. So you achieve it either way.
Very good. And
Okay.
the next,
go ahead.
Joan Lefkowitz asked the following question. If you change font, how do you get columns to adjust? I think you just did that, actually.
Adjust as far as, John, I'm not sure I
Yeah.
understand.
If you notice, because this has happened to me in the spreadsheets that I've done, if you make the column, if you make the font larger and larger for senior citizens to read, notice now down on the second part, you have transportation is now cut off a little bit. Do you have to manually adjust each column to reflect that you have a bigger width?
You can go, as I said before, widen the column.
Okay.
Which brings me to two more things I want to mention, that this spreadsheet itself is not giving it to me. And let's say I want to put transportation here. You see where my column, where I'm typing?
Mm-hmm.
Transportation cost. Now I can obviously, to accommodate, I can make it wider. But if I don't want to make it, let me spell that. Cost total, I want to make it purposely long. Okay? So it goes to the next column as long as there's no data in the next column. Otherwise it will truncate. Let's say I say here, I put the number 0, it truncates.
Okay.
So you can obviously widen the columns. The other thing you can do is you go up here, you see where I am?
Yes.
And say wrap text. And now it moves to the next, it just move it down. You cannot see it because the row is too small, but look what it did. Wait a minute. You see what it did?
Okay.
So you can do that, but you need the rows now to be high enough to accommodate it. Otherwise, you won't see it either because it does put it below, but you don't see below. Okay?
Okay.
Now, the other thing is that sometimes it's good for formatting is, let's say it's a heading and you want to do that, you can, what we call here, merge and center. And what it does, it makes the two cells one cell. And it's useful when you do headings and you want to move it around, and we'll get to it later, but so just to complete that, it's basically center, because if I had, for example, this column with that, You see it centered over the two columns. No matter how wide each one is, it calculates how wide the two combine and center in the middle of that. So one of them is wrap text. You just go to the second line, within the width of the column. And this one goes and across and combine cells and put the information in the middle. So let me get out of that. By the way, now one thing I didn't do, we talk arithmetics, before I forget, and my observing wife called my attention to that I talk about plus and minus, didn't talk about multiply and divide. So we'll do it right now. Let's say that I want to take 25% to calculate how much will be 25%. Let's make those numbers bigger too. We miss them. Let's say now we are in a big end of the second quarter, so it should be half the budget. Just simplifying. It's not as simple usually, but let's say. So I want to put 50% to calculate 50% of the budget. Okay, here. Call it 6-month budget. And simplify it 50%. So I'm going to make it bold, and I'm going to center it, and I'm going to make it bigger. So I put here 50%. So 50% is 0.5, right? Now I want to show it as a percent. There's another formatting. You all like that, and where I had the dollar sign and the comma and all that is one called percent, you see? Big percent, it becomes 50%. And then you want to copy it down because you want to multiply all of them by 50%. It's not the only way to do it, not the best, but let's do it simple. So I drag it down, 50%, all of it, right? And now, I want to calculate it. So I put as a formula, equal, right? The budget, which is the 3,000, I click on the 3,000, and multiply is the asterisk, shift above the 8. Okay? And then I click on the 50. And 50% of 3,000 is indeed 1,500. Now I want to do it for the rest of the stuff. I copy it down. Okay. Now, if you just to the purpose, I'm erasing that. Okay. The purpose of the demonstration, you want to do. You want half, and you will just put a 2 every you put. I change it back, and I want just the purpose of showing the divide. I put 2. Okay, and now I want to calculate the half. I say equal 3,000. Divide is the / divide by 2, the 2 here, equals 1,500. So it's asterisk and the slash. Now, so those are the I don't think I'll go there. The other thing, when you go about formulas, and we'll repeat it the next lesson because it gets to the next level, but it's very important, is the order in which you want to do the calculation. Just to start with, I can also say that if I want to calculate the same thing, 3,000 divided by 2, just without two fields. It should just put the number and get the same thing. That's more like a calculator, right? So and if you go back, you see the formula right here. You see exactly what the formula is. And going back a little bit, one of the advantages of saying Excel is, and that's my experience, my daughter, before she got married, we worked on the budget of the wedding, and she did it on Google, and she sent me, and I did Excel, and she sent me with Google a lot of formulas. I didn't understand where the numbers are coming from. Here, if I click on that, I click on this number here, okay? It tells me it's a sum of C4 to C7. I know exactly what is included in this formula. Because this is kind of simple and it's highlighted, so it's nice. So you can tell, but sometimes it's not that highlighted and it's not obvious what the sum of what. How did you get to this number? So when you send it in Excel, I can see the formulas. How do you get to it? I say here, it's 15, it's you divided by 2, then this number, okay. And again, you're much better understanding, otherwise you have no understanding or guessing. But if you want to calculate what is the percent of the difference of the 3,000? In other words, what percent, how much money I left as a percent of my budget? So that will be, that is 1,000 divided by the 3,000. 33. Now, if you want to raise the percent, you highlight that, and 0.33, I'm sorry, and you click the percent and you get 33%. If you want to be more exact, you can show the decimal points, and that's in the same place with the dollar sign and the percent. You see the zeros, you can go eliminate decimal and add decimal point. So you can go add 1 decimal point, click again another one. Obviously here we can go forever with the 3s because it's infinitive number of 3s. But then how you can control how many decimal points you want to show. What else? Let me look on my list. We have to go to printing. Let's say you want to print that, okay? So first of all, you have to define the area you want to print, because the spreadsheet is large. And for example, if I want to print now, you will print this 6 months budget, because as far as Excel is concerned, that's part of the spreadsheet. So you highlight the entire area that you want to print, just dragging them out. And then you go, now we go to the first time we go out of this home tab and go to page layout. Now you have a new slew of things to learn. And on a 1, 2, 3, but the 6th one, you see print area. You see here? Print area. You click on that and you say set print area. Other one is clear. So now he knows that's what I want. When I go to print, that's what I'm going to print. Okay. Now I go to, I have a shortcut here, but I go file, and you have here print. You know, we were home all the time. I told you are going to spend most of your life in Excel on home, but here's file on the left, and there's print here. Now you have choices. Here's interesting. You can print it, by the way, to PDF. That's what I have here. So you can create PDF this way. When you ask a print to PDF, he asks you next question, where do you want to put it? Because it's a file. If you want to print to a printer, you assume you go to a printer. So let me change it to my printer. PI printer, stand for Plum Island printer. And it's say print active spreadsheet. That's a spreadsheet that I'm working on. I can print one side, I can print both sides, and you need to have a printer that can print both sides. Collate how to do it if you print multiple pages, and you print how to call it, because some printers, they say do it all, and then flip it and print it again. I'm sure you're familiar with some of those. But more importantly, portrait or landscape. You see here on the bottom, it says 1 of 2, because it didn't have room for the column difference, because I made it to your request bigger characters. So you can go here on orientation and change it to landscape. Voila, now it fills in 1 page. Okay. Other thing you can do is the size of the paper. I don't know why it goes to A4. It's really letter. We don't have A4. I don't know why I got this, a British one. It's 8.5 by 11, calls letter. That's a paper we use here. But you can print it on bigger things. Sometimes big long spreadsheets, or you write it on a statement, which is executive, which is much longer, and you have all kinds of sizes you can print on. Other one, margins. Sometimes the margin of the margins, and if you sometimes you barely can make it, you try to make the margin smaller so you can squeeze it in without going to second page, because nothing is more annoying to have 1 column on the second page, because when you print it or look at it, you have to flip back and forth. And the other one is the scaling. That's another trick to force it into whatever you want. Now you can say, I want all the spreadsheet on one page, no matter what. And sometimes you need a Microsoft to read it. If it's too big, so obviously it's not realistic. Sometimes you want all the columns, so it makes the columns narrower. Or sometimes you want all the rows to be on 1 page. And so that's something that is useful, the scaling. Here I don't need scaling because 1 page, and then you go print. And you can say how many copies. So I print, and we'll come back down here in a minute. So that's a print. So I think I covered everything I wanted, I plan to do. It's easy to go on tangents because Excel was developed for the last 25 years. I work for 2 software companies. One was Zwang, developed word processing. The second company is called Avid Technology, which when I was there, not because I worked there, was the leading company in the world of editing movies. They lost quite a bit to Apple since. And when you work for engineers, since they always want to have another feature. For 2 reasons. Number one, they're interested. The second, it keeps them occupied and employed. So you end up with adding feature. And my question always is, who asked for it? Well, one person asked for it. How many people are going to buy it? So I think the same happened with Excel. They're not coming out every year now, every 2 or 3 years. And as you know, in those software solutions, it's very annoying when somebody thought that it's better to do it left to right opposed to right to left, because you're also already used to do it the same way. And better is not necessarily easier for you, and you have to learn new things. So Microsoft comes with that not as frequently. The other thing I heard you when I came back talking about licenses, I don't know if you covered that. What Microsoft wants to buy you now is a rental, what they call Office 360. You pay by month, and they give you all the updates, and you can maintain your data on the cloud or on your PC. But that's really what all software companies want to try to sell you. And it's a small amount of money. I don't know how much. Google does the same, by the way. In some ways, it's easier. You don't have to get updates and all those things. But that's their preferred. All software company want a steady stream of income as opposed to up and down people buying software and get the CDs or downloading it in order to use it.
New way.
So questions? Questions?
Before the questions, I want to thank you very much, Shlomo. You did a wonderful job today.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Shlomo, are you showing us this on a Mac or on a PC?
PC.
That's why it's a little bit different. Okay.
I believe the PC will, as a Mac, will look the same once you go to the application. The difference is, and I spend most of my days on Photoshop and Lightroom, Adobe, and every time you go to lectures, the instructors say, Control or Command, because,
yeah, okay.
But other than that, it's the same.
The menu is a little bit different up here, but okay, I can figure it out. It's okay.
And Shlomo may have customized it.
I'm using I forgot what I'm using, but I have a pretty recent current release. If you have an older one, it will look different.
No, I usually update as soon as an update comes in. Yeah.
So I don't know. I did not spend time working on that. One more thing I want to talk about is I forgot. You see on the bottom here, the tabs?
No.
You see that base? You see where I'm clicking?
At the bottom of the screen.
Very bottom.
Doesn't show on mine.
Maybe it just cut off, but I can see it, Shlomo.
It works on mine and I'm an Apple.
You see the complete now is red. I painted it just so you can see.
I see this where it says shortfall and all of that. That I see.
So,
but I don't see where it said, in mine it would say sheet 1, 2, 3. I don't see that.
You say because you don't, because when you open, that's what it says. A brand new one. Then you can call them names.
No, I know that, but I don't see it here in what you are showing.
Okay, so those are the tabs, and you can have different spreadsheets in one file. You see, I put one, show you beginnings, the complete one. I call it level 1 simplified. I put a little bit of that. And the building, I don't have it here, but that's a complete, that's the one we just built ourselves. So and you can add as many as you want. We'll later on talk about how can you copy and paste from one to the other. But we show some copy and paste today, right? And, so those are the tabs that each one of them is a spreadsheet by itself unless you connect them. Okay?
Shlomo, thank you. I've never done, I filled in forms before, but I've never learned how to set it up. And you did a great job. I just want to thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you
for me too.
Yeah, I learned a lot today. Thank you, Shlomo.
So Barry, you're going to, you're welcome. You can post it, and my suggestion is to play it and then look a little bit, go to the Excel itself and do it yourself. Because again, it's not a concept you have to grasp. It's a lot of stuff you have to remember. The truth is, if you work with Microsoft Office long enough, there are common themes that go on, and it's easier for you to figure out things you do not know. But that just comes with spending, I was a consultant the last several years of my career, and Excel and PowerPoint were where we lived 10 hours a day. So it becomes second nature. I suspect, and I hope that you're not going to spend as much time the rest of your life in Excel and PowerPoint. You have much more fun things to do. And so you just have to remember it.
Shlomo, at the beginning of your lecture, you showed the layout of which topics are going to be done for the 3 different sessions. Could you put that up on the screen one more time? I just want to take a photo of it so that I have it as my reference.
I closed it.
As she's finding that, I'm going to announce our next event for those of you that weren't here at the beginning. The intermediate event will be on August 21st at 10 o'clock. And then the advanced will be on September the 11th at 10 o'clock. Shlomo, did you find it?
Yeah.
Go ahead and share the screen.
Here you go, Irene.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Could you, oh, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And this session has been recorded. And as soon as we figure out how big the file is and where we can put it, we will let you all know. Shlomo, you've done a wonderful job. And team, I want to thank you all.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
This has been wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And you did it in a very nice way, Shlomo. I was very impressed. And you can see there's lots of things that you can do with Excel. And thank you for supporting Thinkers, Tinkers, and I. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you, Barry.
Take care.
Excuse me.
Yes, Maureen.
Can I ask a question of all the participants here?
Sure.
I know it's going to sound stupid, but I'm on Long Island now. I've been here since June 24th with I have 3 daughters up here. I want to come home, and they don't want me to because they say it's so bad down there. But our area is still the way it was before.